terrorism, as they often do, if they're condemning a specific terror attack, it is very telling. Watch out for this, and you'll see it much more often than we ought to. People saying, this is bad for Islam. This is bad for Islam's image. In other words, they don't speak in terms of, this is evil, this is immoral, this is wrong, you're killing human beings. There's no idea of that. It is only bad for Islam's image. If it were that if a situation were to arise in which they didn't need to care about their image, then these things could go on with no trouble. Al-Andalus is the same way. The dhimmi laws, the laws of dhimmitude, are deeply ingrained within Islamic tradition itself. Islamic law is very clear, and there's no disagreement, or only minor disagreements among the various schools of jurisprudence about these things. That the dhimmi, the protected person, who's under the protection of the Islamic overlords, you may recall that the mafia also, they make you pay protection. And it's very like that. Because in exchange for your life, in exchange for not being killed, the dhimmi submits, and he does not speak ill of Islam. He does not speak ill of the Prophet. He does not speak ill of Allah. He does not speak ill of the Quran. If he does, the contract of the dhimma, the zumma, will be revoked. And his life will be forfeit. So consider that for a moment in light of the freedom of speech wars that we are seeing in the world today. The attempts to silence Geert Wilders in the Netherlands and in Europe in general, and the attempts by the Organization of the Islamic Conference to criminalize what it calls Islamophobia. And then when you ask them to define Islamophobia, well, here it is. It is any speech that is critical of Islam, any speech that even speaks honestly about the activities of the global jihadists. As a matter of fact, there is an organization of the Islamic Conference, which is the largest voting bloc in the United Nations right now. There's an OIC document that specifically names counter-terror analysis as Islamophobic. Now, why would that be? Obviously, because if someone like Lars Hedegaard or Spencer or Wilders, somebody says, well, you see, they blow themselves up in crowded public places because the Quran says that the paradise is guaranteed to those who kill and are killed for Allah. And if Qaradawi, an influential, internationally influential sheikh out of Qatar, says that, then that's all right. But if I quote him, that's Islamophobia. And it is a violation of the laws of the dhimmis. So it is an attempt, this attempt to criminalize free speech, to criminalize speech that is considered critical, even if it's simply reporting, even if it's simply accurate. To criminalize these things is to attempt to compel the West to accept this element of the dhimmi laws. And to compel the West to become more pliant and less resistant to the effort in general to impose the rest of Islamic law here. And so Al-Andalus is a place where those laws were in force. So instead of looking at it and imagining that we see a proto-multiculturalist paradise, we should look at what it actually was like. And so I have a little bit of information about that. The Andalusian jurist of the Maliki school, Ibn Abdun, wrote this around 1100 in the Multiculturalist Paradise. No Jew or Christian may be allowed to wear the dress of an aristocrat, nor of a jurist, nor of a wealthy individual. On the contrary, they must be detested and avoided. He was mandating that non-Muslims, Jews and Christians, have to wear clothing that's distinct from that of the Muslims. It wasn't Hitler who invented that with the yellow star. He got it from the Muslims, whom he greatly admired, for that matter. And the reason why, Ibn Abdin goes on, it is forbidden to greet them with the expression, peace be upon you, assalamu alaikum. A Muslim is forbidden to extend peace to a non-Muslim. And so you can't say the standard Islamic greeting of a Muslim to another Muslim. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalamu. It cannot be done to a non-Muslim. As a matter of fact, a Muslim is instructed in Islamic law to return a greeting from a non-Muslim by saying, peace be upon those who are rightly guided. In other words, peace be upon the Muslims, not on you, buddy. So, this is a small thing. But coming out of the United States, and I was actually born in South Carolina in the southern part of the United States, just as the South was casting off a dark period in American history of segregation and discrimination that was enforced by just these same kinds of small things. And a black man had to step off the sidewalk if a white man was coming to allow him to pass. And if he didn't, he'd be beaten up or worse. And you know, my grandfather had to step off the sidewalk in the Ottoman Empire to allow a Muslim to pass. It was not at all something that was invented in the American South. I'm not saying that Bull Connor was influenced by Islam. Hitler was, but the connection there was purely coincidental. But the connection was real in terms of the intent was the same, to demean the subjugated class and to make sure that it felt itself subdued, as per the Quran verse. Ibn Abdin actually goes on to say, Satan has gained possession of them, the Jews and Christians, and caused them to forget God's warning. They are the confederates of Satan's party. Satan's confederates will surely be the losers. And so they were made to feel this very, very deeply on a daily basis. Another provision of the laws of dimitude that was in effect in Muslim Spain was that non-Muslims were forbidden to hold authority over Muslims. In Pakistan today, colloquially, the Christians are known as street sweepers. There's a gang of street sweepers over there. And why would they call them that? Because the Christians occupy the most menial jobs in the society. They are forbidden to hold authority over Muslims. They, therefore, have these menial jobs and are derided for having them at the same time, as if they're not capable of anything else. Now, at the same time, any law, any human law, Islamic law, Danish law, any law, is often honored in the breach. And there are periods in which it is enforced, and periods in which there is a lax attitude toward a particular law or set of laws, and it's ignored. And this is no less true in Islamic history, and no less true in Muslim Spain, but this has caused some of the confusion that we see over this, although a lot of it is sown deliberately. In 1066, there were two Jews named to positions of governing authority in Spain, in Granada, and they actually held authority over Muslims. You may have heard of this because it is a centerpiece of tolerant, pluralistic Al-Andalus.